College professor Jax agrees to visit his best friend in Colorado, the same state where his online crush lives. They've been flirting online for over a year, and he's never even asked the man's name, so what are the chances of meeting him in a city as large as Denver? Truth is, tech billionaire Charlie hasn't even looked for love since he started talking to the adorable nerd online. Who wouldn't be smitten by a hunk who makes viral comic book videos and sings songs about being your slave on TikTok? Never in his wildest dreams did he imagine that when he finally comes face to face with the super hot, TikTok famous man, his handsome crush, known for his deliciously deep voice, would be so blown away he'd get tongue-tied? With all the reasons to say no, will they overcome their differences and say yes to love? Jax. What was I thinking coming to Denver? Hendrix got me a red-eye flight, so I don't have many people to interact with. Though forcing Hendrix to get up at the ass crack of dawn to pick me up makes me feel like a failure. Hopefully, the plane won't be too full. I hate being a recluse, but it seems the older I get, the less I can handle people staring at my burns. It's funny, but I can't remember getting burned, just waking up in the hospital and finding out my dad died and then I was burned. I remember vividly being at school and everyone looking at me like I was a freak. It's a look I've been getting ever since. Hendrix is up to something, and I don't know what. He's too eager for me to come visit. I'm excited to meet Soren. From the couple of times I've talked to him, I think he's a good fit for Hendrix, but you can hide so much when you haven't met someone in person. I manage not to cry when Hendrix pulls up, but it's hard when I see him smiling at me. It's clear he's far happier here than he was in DC. He's had a hard time finding someone who accepts him, and seeing him so happy just makes me want to find a daddy who will be as good for me as Soren is for him. Hello love, Hendrix says, in his terrible British accent. When we first met and started hanging out, we watched a bunch of BBC shows and he decided we should call each other love and other British terms of endearment. I thought it was dumb and still do, but it makes him smile, and I'll do anything to make him happy. Yes, Ducky, I say, hugging him as much as I can while he's sitting behind the wheel of his car. I have to run by the office before I can take you to the house, but I'm off for the next couple of days. It won't take long. I'm sorry, but after this you will have my undivided attention, Hendrix says, pulling out into traffic. Of course, Ducky, whatever you need to do, I say, trying to push my frustration back. I wish I wasn't such a service slut, or I wish I had someone to serve, so I was getting those needs met and was better able to resist serving people who I shouldn't be serving. Hendrix would never push me to serve in ways I didn't want, but when he asks me to do things, it's hard to say no, so I end up at his office when I'd much rather be at his house taking a nap after my flight. Crash is nicer than Hendrix described. Damn, no wonder he's going to quit the army to come work here. Fuck, they have a whole gaming setup in the break room. If I was the least bit tetchy, I'd think he was trying to get me a job, but while I love to play games, I'm not that kind of nerd, but it's clear he's up to something. I just have to figure out what it is or wait until he tells me. He's quick to show me where everything is around the office. I love him, but sometimes I want to spank him, and not in a fun way. What he finds exciting and what I find exciting are different, but the first and third floors were similar. Hendrix sticks me in an office with his laptop and saying he'll be back soon. The idea of getting an Uber and heading to his house crosses my mind, but I don't know his address, and if I ask him, he'll just feel like shit, so I'll sit here and think of ways to kill him without getting caught. Who knew murder shows were good for something? The next thing I know, I'm falling asleep on the couch. Charlie. Since I started talking to StuckyFan86 online, I haven't been able to think about dating anyone else. I know it's fucked up and creepy to be crushing on a guy whose face I've never seen, but we talk all the time. It started out as light conversations about games and comic books. Now we talk about everything and play quite a bit online, even though we've never met and probably never will. I've brought up meeting several times, and he always gets weird and goes dark for a couple of days. He lives in a large city on the East Coast and teaches college. I don't know about his life, but I know everything about who he is and what he thinks and feels about the world around him. We talk about everything else in the world, and he's somehow become one of the most important people in my life. He's funny and smart, and the way he sings, damn, I'm more than half in love with him already. He's a nerd who I can talk to about video games or comic books for hours, and he's a service sub and little. Those are two of my favorite kinks. He's told me he's single, and we've even done some play online. He does a great job of hiding his identity online. Most people will slip up and give you information you can use to find them if you want to, but he's incredibly careful and lets nothing get by him. I've resisted the urge to go poking around and trying to play super sleuth, but I want so badly to turn my online crush into something more. I'm supposed to have lunch with Soren and his boyfriend today. They're so in love and happy makes it hard not to resent them for having everything I want in life. Not that I like Soren like romantically. I mean, we fucked once in college and that was plenty. Our friendship barely survived a drug hookup. No, I don't want him. I just want what he has. Walking into Soren's office for lunch is like getting kicked in the nuts. There is someone I've never met sitting on Soren's couch, and he's possibly the most beautiful man I've ever seen. He's tall with broad shoulders and gray eyes peeking out from under his dirty blonde hair. He keeps his hair in front of his face so you can almost write off as being coy until he tips his face and I can see his face is a mass of burns, making his cheek look like melted wax. My face must show when I see the burns because he goes from passive, sneering at me. Take a picture. It will last longer, he barks, glaring at me, and I can't stop staring for a completely different reason. This man with his perfect body and amazing eyes is StuckyFan86 from TikTok. I know this lunch was a setup. Somehow Soren found out who my online crush was and got him out here. The desire to punch Soren in the face is all-consuming. Soren is aware I'm half in love with him already. How'd he do something like set us up on a blind date? Setups are bad enough, but the shock of hearing him and finding out he's my crush paired with the burns makes this setup a disaster, and that's the last thing I want. Of course, StuckyFan86 would think I was staring because of the scars. Not because he's my online crush and the most beautiful man I've ever met. The ways he's glaring at me, it's clear he'd rather people not notice him at all. Fuck, how am I going to show him I'm not a dick? Great. Where are we going to lunch? I ask, wanting to talk to him, and having lunch seems like the best excuse I'm going to get. So, I lean into our plan to have lunch instead of doing the smart thing and leading. I know the burns shocked Soren. Soren's a dick, but he's a lovable dick, and he'd never have set me or him up for failure like this if he'd known. And worse, I can't remember if anyone introduced us. This is going great so far. Just the way you want to meet your crush. We're heading to Los Dos Patrios, and I need to think of a way to talk to him. No matter if it's a setup or not. I'm Charlie, and you are? I ask, sticking out my hand, hoping we can get things back on track. I'm Jax, he says, standing and walking to the door, making it clear he's done with this interaction. I come up with a plan, and it might be underhanded, but what else can I do? The plan is simple: talk about Marvel and specifically how much I hate it in-game. I know we share similar opinions on the topic because this was the first conversation we had online. I know he's passionate about the topic and won't be able to resist telling me exactly what he thought about the movie. Apparently, it's the right move because before I know it, he's talking to me, and while he still tries to hide behind his hair, it's less obsessive. The more we talk, the more animated he becomes. I can see the person who I've been talking to all these months. It's not just the online interactions making me want to see him again, hopefully alone. Jax. There was something fishy going on with Hendrix since we showed up at his office, and when Charlie walked in, it was clear why Hendrix wanted me to visit. We wanted to introduce me to his friend. I can't believe he'd pull this shit on me. I hate being set up, and he knows how much I hate it. Even when people are prepped about my scars, they still panic or stare, or worse, pity me. I want to go home, but I can't be pissed off at Hendrix since I'm living in his house in DC rent-free. What the fuck were you thinking, setting me up on a blind date? They always go badly, I yell as soon as we're on the way to the restaurant, but Hendrix keeps saying Charlie is different and that he was a perfect gentleman when we met and that I'm oversensitive. Maybe Hendrix is right because I can't be standoffish with Charlie, he's talking about endgame. I'm a classic nerd. I get fired up when I talk about the way they fucked not only Steve but Peggy's character. How can you not hate that bullshit? Before I know it, I'm gesticulating wildly and giving an impassioned speech about women in superhero movies. Who knew writing my doctoral thesis on the impact of superheroes on American society would be good for picking up guys? Charlie is eating it up. Hundreds of thousands in student loan debt for the win. How'd Charlie know exactly what to say to get me to come out of my shell? I bet the Judas told him. Although he always prefers talking about X-Men and why he thinks new Magneto should be a Wedger Muslim. If Hendrix coached him, Charlie would have probably gone with that and not Endgame. I can't get over the fact that he keeps looking at my scars. I didn't hide that I hate my scars being stared at. Most people know better than to look, but this dude keeps staring. Just when I think maybe he's not a dick, I catch him staring. Maybe I should remind him it's not welcome, but I'm having so much fun talking to him I can't bring myself to snap at him and ruin our conversation. Fuck, he's fun to talk to. He designs video games for a living, so no wonder he's an old school nerd boy, but damn, it's fun to talk to him about all this. I only talk to Hendrix and people online about this stuff. Well, I teach it, but that's different from talking to people who aren't just hoping for a class they can watch movies and read comics for. It's sad how many people think they can take my class and do nothing but read comics and watch movies all semester. Maybe if I play my cards right, I can keep talking to Charlie after today. The food is great. The steak nachos are delicious. I understand why we came here. My stomach is telling me to eat all the food, but my brain is saying, take your time, talk to Charlie. After we talked about comics long enough, even Hendrix was rolling his eyes. We started talking about queerbaiting in TV shows, and before I know it, I'm scheduling a hangout with Charlie tonight so we can watch 911. I keep trying to explain why Buck is the more female character of the pair. Charlie isn't getting it, but he's never watched the show, so how would he? I get so caught up in my bullshit that I set a meetup with this guy to watch TV tonight. I love meaningless sex as much as the next guy, but my face makes things more complicated. I do great at the kink clubs where my wearing a hood can be written off as my own eccentricities, but when it comes to dating or more than a few random play sessions things get awkward, and I like Charlie a lot, and the last thing I want is to make things awkward with him so Hendrix feels like he has to deal with my drama. The conversation with Charlie reminds me of Aliosphere, a fan I spend way too much time talking to online. They've been pushing me to meet for a while now. I can't bring myself to even let them know what I look like, let alone meet in person. Maybe I should let them see what I look like and see if they still want to meet with me after they've seen the total package. Seeing my only friend pairing off has me wondering if I'd have a daddy of my own. It's better to have something online than for the only person in my life to be Hendrix. It's fucked up to keep something fake than to risk it. I just don't want to get hurt. Hell, maybe I could have something with Charlie. At least he knows what I look like and is still flirting with me. He's a lot of fun. I could see spending time with him until he finds someone better. StuckyFan86 to Aliosphere, why did I let my friend talk me into this trip? I love him, but I think he's trying to set me up with his boyfriend's friend, and that's not cool. I kind of like the friend. He's super hot and I'm getting a total daddy vibe from him. You know how I feel about daddies. What the fuck is wrong with me? I can't believe I told you that. I'm sorry. It's just we're friends and I tell you everything. Oh my god, I'm such a loser. I'm hiding in the bathroom. I need to get back. I won't be able to respond for a while, but I'll let you know how this goes. Hopefully, you're having a better day than me. The reply message comes in almost immediately, so I pull out my phone and read what Aliosphere has to say. Aliosphere to StuckyFan86, oh, you think he's cute? Tell me more about this man? Is he smart? Better question, tell me how good his ass looks. I need to get back, but I can't leave my friend hanging. StuckyFan86 to Aliosphere, he's hot in a nerdy way, but I have a thing for nerds. Aliosphere to StuckyFan86, a hot nerd, my favorite. What's he wearing? Stucky Fan 86 to Aliosphere, khakis and a blue dress shirt. Do you want a picture? Aliosphere to Stucky Fan 86. I want a picture, but are you sure he's not wearing a Winter Soldier t-shirt? I read the message on my way back out to the table and don't notice that not only has Charlie taken off his shirt, but he's wearing a gray Winter Soldier t-shirt. The way he's smiling at me, he thinks this is a big joke and I feel the adrenaline pushing me to run. How could they set me up like this? Looking at Hendrix, it's clear he was the mastermind behind this stupid idea. My adrenaline is rising and I need to get away. But where can I go? I'm staying with Hendrix and I don't have a car. Fuck my life. I don't even know the address. I can't even get an Uber. Hey, shit, I'm sorry. Hearing you speak in Soren's office, it blindsided me who you were. I know I'm getting set up, but not who you were. I didn't know it was you until I met you today. When you sent me a message from the bathroom, I thought the shirt things would be a funny way to tell you who I was. Clearly, I'm a dumbass. I'm so sorry. I just want to get away. Can you take me somewhere else? I don't want to deal with Hendrix. I'll forgive him eventually, but not right this minute, and I'm not going to his place until I'm ready to forgive him. My place or somewhere else? Tell me what you want. Let's go for a drive. Charlie. Fuck, did I read the room wrong? I didn't know how to tell Jax I was Aliosphere, but it seems my stupid little game was the wrong way to do it. The look on his face when he understood why I was wearing a different shirt was fury quickly replaced with panic. I thought he'd never want to talk again. It surprised me when he wanted to go with me instead of Hendrix. It makes sense. We've been friends online for a little more than a year, and I'm not the one who talked him into coming out under false pretenses. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm pretty pissed off at Hendrix as well. The difference is Hendrix isn't my best friend. He's just my friend's boyfriend. It's not like he has an obligation to me. Did you want to go somewhere, or just drive around? Just drive for a little while. I need to cool down before I deal with Hendrix again, Jax says, belting himself in and looking out the window, making it clear he's done talking to me, at least for now. Since we've been talking online, we've played, but online play when you won't show your face is limited, especially when you don't want the other person to know where you live. Now that I know about his burns, it makes sense he never told me who he was. Even if we'd never played on cam or shown each other pictures, if I'd known his name and where he was, I'd have been able to find him online. I'd have found pictures of him and seen his burns, something he clearly didn't want. Not that I'd have stopped talking to him over the burns, but he couldn't have known how I'd react. I can understand why he didn't want to risk me judging him. It might not be fair, but I know how he reacts to stress. He'll want me to help him feel steadier, and a service scene will calm him down. How can I offer a scene and not come across like a tool? Would you want to do a service scene this afternoon? Between the flight and everything, I'm feeling out of sorts and we've been doing things online for a while, so I'm comfortable playing with you, Jax says, looking defeated, not excited. Oh, dear sweet boy, what made you think I wouldn't want a scene with you? I'd love to play with you. Did you have something in mind? Or I can come up with a scene? I love service, but it's not the most interactive of playstyles. It's a lot of telling them what to do and then ignoring them, or, worse, telling them they are doing something wrong. With the kick puppy look on Jax's face right now, the last thing I want to do is make him feel worse. I enjoy service and cleaning can be good, but since I've never cleaned for you before and you probably have a cleaning person who comes 3 times a week, I don't think cleaning would be good for me today. I can clean, but I don't know if it will scratch that service itch, you know. I understand, and I have cleaning lady, Barbara, who comes twice a week, but the house is beyond clean and having you clean it won't really scratch that itch for me either. I do have an idea, though. I think you like it, I say, pulling off the highway and heading to my place. Jax. The way Charlie's cutting in and out of traffic like he's a teenager reminds me we've played online, but this is the first actual scene. My hang-ups meant we never played on video and there isn't much you can do via email. I mean, sure, he has me do some stuff, but it's nice to know I'm not the only one excited about getting to play. We've both filled out a limit list before, and while talking on the phone or seeing each other is clearly no longer on my hard limits list, he has a good idea of the things I'd enjoy. When we finally pull up in front of his house, I can't believe how big the house is. I knew all the owners of Crash were billionaires, and I've done enough video calls with Hendrix to know the house would be huge, but seeing it in person really can't prepare you for seeing Charlie's house. It's downtown, and it was clearly a church at one point, stained glass windows and all. I can't imagine what his electric bill is in this place. Charlie parks on the street in front of the church. There's a huge set of doors that don't seem practical at all, and I know there's no way he leaves his $100,000 car on the street regularly, but walking up to the front doors that still clearly open the way they had when services were held here makes a striking tableau you just couldn't get if he brought me in through the garage. Wow, I wouldn't have figured you for a goth, I say, staring up at the vast building in awe of how amazing it is. I'm not at all a goth, hell, I didn't even have a goth phase in high school. No, I bought it to turn it into condos to rent, and the architect misunderstood and drew up plans for it to be a single-family home, and I absolutely fell in love with it, so I had it designed to my taste and moved in. The front door opens on what was originally the sanctuary, but is now the living room. It's been redesigned, but they kept the grandeur of the church. The sanctuary could have seated hundreds and now is an enormous living room. There's no denying the building started out as a church. It has a huge vaulted ceiling that makes the room look amazing. They kept parts of the pews, so the couch has these cool wooden ends, but it looks comfortable and beautiful. I love he kept so many of the original elements of the church. I can't wait to see what the rest of the house will look like. Charlie. It's been so long since I've had someone in my house who's never been here before that I forget it's shocking to most people. My house is unique. I can't help but smile as I show Jax around the house. When I show him the playrooms, it's easy to see the way he's staring at the toys and furniture around the room. The playrooms were originally classrooms, so they run most of the length of the building opposite the sanctuary. We've talked enough that I know he's quite fond of pain play, so I'm not surprised by the look of shock and excitement when he sees all the toys I have, and this isn't even my little playroom, this is the room I use when playing with someone who enjoys being hurt. I can't wait to show him the rest of my playrooms. Did you see something you want to try? I have a scene in mind, but we can do something else? I ask, walking up behind him and reaching my hand out and placing it on his back. I feel like I'm taking advantage of him because I know so much about him even though we've never played, but he's told me many times how much he enjoys being touched and how touch-starved he feels most of the time. I love pain play and I'd definitely love to hurt with you at some point. Today I want to do a service scene. You mentioned having something in mind. What were you thinking? Have you ever shaved someone before? I ask, running my hand over his back as I do. No, I have seen it done and taken a few classes on shaving, but I've only ever shaved myself, but I think it would be fun to shave you. I might cut you though, Jax says, sounding so dejected when he mentions he might cut me. I know anything with knives might lead to bleeding, so it's all good. Why don't you come to my closet and we can get everything set up? I love being shaved and I think you will enjoy serving me in that way, I say, using my hand on his back to lead him into my closet where there's a proper barber's chair and all the things he'll need to shave me. When I first got rich, it was hard to spend money on things. I had no problem going on trips or buying fancy cars, but when I set up my closet with a full bootblack station, a sink with a barber's chair, and all the things a service sub could want or need to serve as my valet, I had to talk myself into doing it. I had such a tough time letting myself spend money on those things. It was so bad I even talked to my therapist Jane about why I was having such a hard time spending money on kink stuff. Looking at my toys, maybe I went too far in the other direction. To buy this many kink toys, I had to admit I was not only rich but a freak. Come, I'll show you where everything is, I say, walking into my closet and pulling out the shaving supplies. There are half a dozen lotions and creams and oils, and that's not counting all my beard stuff from when I grew a beard last winter. Wow, I knew you were rich. I video call Hendrix enough to know the house he lives in, but you have a whole service set up, Jax says, looking around. I love using my sub as a personal valet, so I have a bootblack station and a valet station where they can help me in and out of my suits when I wear them. I don't wear suits often, but when I do, it's fun to have a sub put you into them and even more for a sub to help you out of the suit. I love getting facials and having manicures and pedicures and being shaved. I have everything you need for those things as well, I say, making sure not to put too much pressure on him about him being the sub. It's amazing. I've never gotten to do those things for someone, but I love the idea of taking care of my dom in those ways. Being useful is something I love to do. I hate when I do things that aren't seen or appreciated. I mean, I love to cook and clean, but it's so different to cook and clean and for someone versus being of service to them physically. I've served people who I don't think even like me much. They didn't hate me or anything, but I'd go to their house and cook and clean and then I'd leave, often before they even got home from work. We didn't exactly spend a lot of time spent together. They made me feel like I could have been anyone. They enjoyed having someone who'd cook and clean for them. I felt interchangeable. So serving you physically sound amazing, Jax says, walking around hand outstretched like he's about to touch everything, but he keeps stopping before he actually contacts anything. The look of amazement on his face while he takes in the room is awe-inspiring. I've shown this room to partners before, and they were impressed, but it seemed it was more the money required to have a room like this and not the service they were excited about. I'm sure Jax can figure out the money aspect. It's just he seems less calculating and more like a kid on Christmas than other people have been. Jax. Charlie's house was amazing, but this closet is something else. I've always wanted to be a personal valet, but I've never had the chance. It's one thing to serve someone in things like cooking and cleaning. But serving like this would be exciting. You can serve someone sexually and most people would think that's the most intimate way you could serve, but it's not. When you serve someone sexually, they're getting off and taking what they want from you, but to shave them or give them a manicure has always felt like a better way to serve, and I never dreamed someone would want me to serve them like that. But as I watch Charlie pull out all the things I'll need to not only shave his face, but give him a manicure too, I can't help but feel proud of myself just because a man like this would let me serve him in this way. You mentioned you'd taken classes on shaving and giving manicures. Do you need me to go over anything before we start? No, sir, I'm okay, I say, turning on the shaving cream warmer as Charlie sits in the big barber chair. I can see there's a towel warmer on the counter, so I grab a few towels to get wet so they're ready for me to use on his face, so I'll be able to use as many hot towels as I need or want to use while I'm shaving him. When I have everything pulled out, I lean Sir back in the chair and start working his hands. It's clear he gets manicures regularly, and knowing that someone has been serving him in this way makes me jealous, and I normally don't do jealousy. Hopefully, he goes and gets them done somewhere or does them himself, and he doesn't have someone who comes and does this for him. The towel steamer beeps and I pull out the warm towel, shaking it a bit to get it to the right temperature so I don't burn Sir, before I lay it on his face, wrapping it around his head so it's covering his face from around his neck and crossing over on his forehead. I do my best to make sure I don't cover his nose so he can breathe, but I must adjust things after I have it laid out on his face so he can breathe. I use the opportunity to take a few deep breaths myself. I'm holding my breath and I'm feeling lightheaded. When I have his face covered, I take my time and run my hands over Sir's face, applying a pressure, giving him a massage while I wait for the hair and skin to warm up so I can give him the best possible shave. When the towel has been on his face for a few minutes and is cooling, I get a bit of the pre-shave oil in my hand before I remove the towel, and then I work the oil into Sir's beard. Only after they've taken my time working the oil into Charlie's beard do I pull out another towel and wrap that around Sir's face again, letting the heat and steam soften the hair in his beard before I shave him. While the towel works on Sir's face, I take the time to make sure it warms the shaving cream up. When I'm certain the shaving cream is at the perfect temperature, I remove the towel and start applying the hot shaving cream on Sir's face, making sure not to get it to think, so it causes extra friction. I don't think I've ever done a scene where I was so focused on serving my dom as I was shaving Charlie. You can go into your happy place when you clean, but scrubbing a toilet doesn't take nearly as much concentration as shaving someone you desperately want to be your daddy. But as I make the first pass with the straight razor over Sir's face, I can't even remember what had me so stressed out earlier. I'm completely in the moment and doing everything in my power to make every hand movement as perfect as I can so Charlie has the best possible shave. With every pass of the blade over Sir's skin, I become more centered and relaxed. Sure, I'm worried I'll cut him, but there's no thought in my head other than how to make this moment perfect for Sir, and I can relax and just let myself be here with him and not have to worry about anything other than what my hands are doing right this minute. This is what I love about submission. Sure, I love the endorphins of a good beating and the relaxation of being fucked just right, but it's being so focused on doing exactly what you are doing and nothing that happened before or since that I love about submission. I could never meditate, but I imagine this is what it feels like when you really clear your mind in this relaxed zen moment. After I finish shaving Sir, I get some of the aftershave moisturizer and ever so carefully work it into not only where I shaved him but his entire face, using it as a chance to give him a facial. When I have the lotion worked into his face, I grab another hot towel and put it over his face, using the steam to work the moisturizer onto his face. I'd love to give him a facial sometime. Because of my burns, I have to get them regularly and I know how good they feel, and I want to show Sir how good I can make him feel. When the towel cools, I get the aftershave mask and apply that only where I shaved him. I'm so lost in what I'm doing I do not know how long I've been at it, but I know it's been at least an hour because my feet are letting me know they aren't thrilled with the way I've been standing for so long, but it's the first time since I started the process that I've thought about anything other than what I'm doing in the moment and the next step in my process. Grabbing another hot towel, I wrap his face again, giving it only a minute before I work the towel in tiny circles to remove the excess mask while the towel is still warm. When I pull the towel off this time, Charlie is smiling, and as soon as his face is free and he's able to talk again, Charlie says, "You were such a good boy, you did an amazing job shaving me. How are you feeling?" There is a deep sense of relief and joy at having pleased Charlie so thoroughly. I feel better. Thank you, Sir, for letting me serve you in this way. Would you like me to do anything else for you? I ask, turning to the sink and putting things away. Only if you are still feeling unsettled. If you are feeling better, we can do something else, but I'm sure I'd find several shoes for you to polish. I always have shoes that need polished. But I thought watching a movie or go do something more fun, Charlie says, reaching out and grabbing my hand and holding me so I have to look at him and stop cleaning. I'm feeling better, Sir, but I'd love to serve you more if you would like. It's been so long since I was of service to someone, I say, looking down at my feet. I don't want to tell him that no one wants me to serve them in these ways. I don't want to lie, but I don't want to let him know no one has use of me. Good, why don't you finish cleaning up in here and then we can go explore the city. I have box seats at the Buell Theater. We can see what's playing tonight if you would like, or we can do something else. I'm sure there's a movie we can see, or we can go eat something. Hell, we can go to a bar or club. No, seeing a play sounds like fun, I say, still trying to busy myself putting everything back exactly where I got it from. It's a silly thing to be so focused on, but turning around and looking at him seems like more than I can do. Sir seems to know what I'm doing because the next thing I know, his arms are wrapped around me, holding me tight. Maybe you aren't as settled as I thought you were. Why don't we stay here? We can watch a movie, or I can find more ways for you to serve me. Every part of me wants him to find other ways for me to serve him, but I don't want to be so needy. No matter how close we were online and how many times I've let him center me and calm, he's not really my daddy. I pull away from him and look at him. The look on his face is the one I've always wanted to see when someone was looking at me. It's that mix of love and care and sex all wrapped up in one, and finally someone is looking at me like that way and I can't help but feel panicked about it. What the fuck is wrong with me? Charlie. God, this man is making me crazy. I'd never been around someone who could make me so excited so easily. Every time his hand touched me while he was shaving me, I had to stop myself from grabbing him and kissing him. I want to believe that he's thinking the same. Normally I don't like to read into other people's motives, but the way his hand lingers with every touch, I can't help but think he might want to do more than just shave me. Watching him putting things away, I can't help but wonder if his anxiety is going back up. He's putting a little too much effort into making sure everything is just right with all the bottles he's putting back. Sweet boy, please bring me the little mirror so I can look at myself, I say, schooling my features into a blank mask of neutrality as he makes his way over to me. I want to get his mind back on what we're doing and off whatever else is going on in his mind. I'd felt my face when he was done, so I know he did an amazing job and didn't miss any spots, but seeing how he did will give us both something to do. Jax holds the mirror up for me to look at myself, but I can barely drag my gaze away from him to look at myself. Wow, you did an amazing job. I don't think I've ever had such a good shave. Jax blushes, and it takes years off his age. I'd bet money he blushes to his nipples, and I have to bite my lip to keep from asking him to take his shirt off so I can see if he blushes as completely as I think he does. I knew in theory he had a praise kink, but I underestimated it, and now I'll have to tell him just how much I enjoyed him shaving me and how good a job he did. You are such a good boy. I didn't think you could shave me so well since we'd never played before, but you did an amazing job, I say, reaching out to taking his hand and squeezing it and pulling him towards me so I touch his back. The movement leaves Jax's hip pressed up against the barber's chair I'm still sitting in. God, how I want to pull this adorable boy into my lap and kiss him or do other things, but I resist. Jax moves so he can put my legs down, and with this old chair, that means he has to bend down and grab the pin on the far side of the chair from where he's standing. I don't know why he didn't go to the other side before he tried to put my legs down, but he didn't, and now his face is over my cock and what little self-control I had evaporates and my cock is rock hard, only inches from his face. Being the good boy he was, he says nothing about it, only finishes putting my feet down and stepping around, so he was in front of me. Before I can think better of it, I grab his hand and pull him into a kiss, leaving him to stand straddling my legs so he can reach my mouth. Jax. I'm not expecting Charlie to pull me into a kiss. I thought about what it would be like to kiss him while I was shaving him. Who wouldn't have thought about kissing his pouty lips while they were running their hands over his face, but when my lips touch his, it's like fireworks. At first, the kiss is gentle and almost hesitant on both our parts. It's only lips and little kitten licks from me not trying to push my tongue into his mouth only to allow Sir to deepen the kiss, but Sir is a good kisser and soon his tongue is running over the seam of my lips and pressing, and so just the tip of his tongue is in my mouth. He pulls me closer as he slides his hand over the back of my neck. I have a moment to decide what I'm going to do. I can crawl into the chair with him or I can stop the kiss, but with him pulling me tighter against him I can't stay the way I am bent in an almost 90-degree angle with the large foot plate keeping me from getting too close to him. I'd pull him to standing, but climbing onto the chair and having my ass pressed into his hard cock is too good to pass up. It only takes a minute to be in the chair, knees straddling his hips. The only reason it's not faster is that I take time to make sure both our cocks are comfortable with how I'm sitting on his lap. God, the idea of getting off his lap and pulling his cock out so I can ride it properly is too much for me, but when I pull back Charlie holds the back of my neck slightly tighter, making it clear he doesn't want me to move without forcing me to stay. When I stop moving, he deepens the kiss and all higher brain function leaves me. His face is so smooth there won't be any beard burn, and that has benefits, but having proof this lovely man kissed me stupid would be amazing, and I won't have that lingering soreness to remind me of someone wanting to kiss me slow after he takes me back to Soren's house. Sir's face smells of the eucalyptus from the aftershave lotion. I taste nothing, and for a moment I wonder if he bought it with that in mind so he'd kiss whoever had been shaving him, but I push those thoughts aside and focus on the way his fingers are running through the hair on the back of my head. After a few minutes, Sir's hand slides down from the back of my head and is running over my ass. I take his wandering hand as an invitation to move my hands over the firm lines of his chest. When my hand finds his nipple, I run my fingers over it back and forth, resisting the urge to squeeze it ever so lightly. Sir must like the way it feels because the kiss becomes less coordinated and the little bucks of his hips become thrusts. Arching my back, I grind my cock into his belly, making sure when I push back away from him with my cock that my ass is grinding on his cock. Sir stops kissing me, and for just a moment I think he's mad or that he wants me to stop, but then he leans forward and wraps his arms around me and pulls me tight against him, so my cock is in constant contact with his belly. I take the opportunity of having my mouth unoccupied to run my tongue up the side of his neck, paying special attention to that dimple under his ear before I pull the earlobe into my mouth, sucking on it before I nibble ever so delicately on his earlobe, making sure not to hurt him. Fuck how I want to be sucking on other things besides his ear, but he's holding me to him as we rub and grind against each other. Sir pulls me away from him, so I'm sitting straight like I was riding his cock, and he runs his hands under my shirt and over my nipples. Where my touch was gentle, his fingers were strong and not at all tentative. They find those little nubs and squeeze them, rolling them between his fingers. I can't help but let out a yip, but it feels like we attach my nipples to my cock because I almost come when he squeezes them for the first time. Sir moves so he's sitting up straighter in the chair and starts sucking on my left nipple. I can't stop myself from grinding on him faster as he sucks. When he stops sucking and starts flicking his tongue back and forth off the sensitive nub, I come hard all over my pants. Sir keeps playing with my nipple, dragging all the pleasure out of me before his thrust becomes more frantic and he comes flopping back in the chair, pulling him with me so we're both leaning back in the chair cuddled together. Fuck me when the afterglow fades. My cock is going to be sore and not in a fun way, but for our first time, I don't think I'd have changed it at all. I lean in, turning my face so my forehead is resting under Sir's chin, and all I can think is Daddy will take care of me. That I wanted to refer to him as Daddy even in my head is enough to scare me, but I can't seem to care enough to run away from this amazing Daddy holding me after he gave me exactly what I needed today. No, Daddy fits him for so many more reasons than the amazing sex we just had. Jax. Thank God Daddy has a fancy schmancy washing machine, because by the time we get out of the chair, I have more than a dozen texts from Hendrix asking me when I'll be at the house and how sorry he is and how worried he is. Part of me wants to let him stew for a while, but with as much as I'm enjoying spending time with Charlie, I want to get a little distance from him. Today felt like NRE, new relationship energy, and I want to think about today when I'm not all floaty and blissed out, but I also didn't want to show up in Charlie's clothes or with a cum stain on my pants. So, we stalled long enough to wash and dry my clothes and then head over to Hendrix's house. Charlie talked to Soren, so Hendrix would stop worrying. I'd have let him panic a little longer, but Daddy overruled me, and for the first time in a long time I don't care enough to fight. I almost always have the energy to fight, but something about Charlie makes me want to relax into the warmth of him and not fight. Fuck, I'm lost on this man. On the drive over to Soren's house, we pick up food. When Charlie asked me what I wanted for dinner, I thought we were going to grab food on the way. I guess we did that, but I thought it would be just the two of us eating together, not picking up food for everyone. I might have said something, but I don't want Charlie to think I'm an ass, so I bite my tongue and accept that I'm going to have to talk to Hendrix and make nice with him. Walking to the door of Soren's house, I can hear Hendrix yell that we're here, and I know the moment I hear him speak that he's little. From all the talking Charlie and I did online before, he knows I'm a little. I also know he's a daddy, but I'm still floaty and I'll slide into my little headspace if I'm around Hendrix in his little headspace for too long. What will he think of me if I go all little around him? Hendrix and I have been little together too much for me to stay big when I'm half in subspace and he's little. The last thing I want to do is embarrass him, but when I hear the thump of Hendrix banging into the door in his rush to answer the door, I can already feel myself sliding into my little headspace. Hi Jax, I'm sorry. You're set up like that by me. I knew how much you both enjoyed talking to each other online, and if you remember, I told you to meet with him months before I moved out here and knew who he was. I just wanted you to be happy. I'm sorry, Jax says, head down and twisting around, so he's swaying on his feet and playing with the bottom of his shirt. I want to be angry, but when I think about how much fun I had today with Charlie, I can't help but feel like I should have agreed to meet him long before I did. I'm not ready to tell Hendrix I've forgiven him yet, but I will cave soon. I know you want me to be happy, but you tricked both of us. I don't know if I would have come if I knew you were setting me and Eliosphere up, but it would have been nice to know you knew him, and then I could have made my choice, but I don't hate you or anything. I'll get over it. I just felt ambushed, I say, reaching out and grabbing Hendrix's hand and pulling him into a hug. Now, let's go eat our dinner before it gets cold, I say, letting Hendrix lead me to the kitchen by the hand he's still holding. If he'd been big when I got here, I probably would have talked to him more about it or at least stayed mad longer, but with him looking so cute and little, telling him off only to forgive him wouldn't have done anyone any good. Charlie seems almost as comfortable here as he was in his own home. Watching him pull out silverware and plates, it's clear Charlie spends plenty of time here. He dishes up the food for everyone, even cutting up the steak in bite-sized pieces for Hendrix. When he looks over at me, I'm still holding Hendrix's hand. I'm still big, but I can feel myself sliding into my little headspace, and I'll be little by the time we're ready to eat, so I nod at Daddy and watch as he cuts my steak up into bite-sized pieces. When Charlie sets the plates on the table, both Hendrix and I have our food on divided plates and our steak cut into bite-sized pieces, and the last part of me that was still big slides away and I'm fully in my little headspace. It's one thing to be little with someone who might tolerate it but not embrace it, but a whole other thing when they so clearly want you to be little. Soren and Hendrix are sickeningly cute together. Soren manages to not feed Hendrix like a baby, but you can just tell he wants to fly his steak around like an airplane. I love being little but not that little, and the last thing I want is make Charlie think I want that sort of thing, so I make sure to always keep my hand on my fork. I know I'm being ridiculous, but the last thing I want is for Charlie to grab my fork and try to feed me. I might be little, but I'm never so small I need help to get my food into my mouth. No, thank you. I'm a big boy. After dinner is over, Hendrix grabs my hand and drags me off to another part of the house. The last thing I want to do is to have Daddy leave me without saying goodbye, but he's busy talking to Soren and I don't want to be naughty and annoy Daddy by interrupting him when he's talking to another daddy, so I follow Hendrix upstairs. When I see the room Hendrix is taking me to, I can't describe how excited I am by the room. It's a playroom, but someone clearly designed it for little play. The floor is all soft mats so you can crawl on the floor or sit on the floor without getting sore. There's a table in the room that's brightly colored but also the right height to sit on the floor and use. There are shelves all around the room with boxes of toys. One side of the room has an easel and every kind of art supply you could ever want to play with. The other side of the room has a big bean bag and couch that was designed for two large people to cuddle on in front of a TV. In one corner there's another bean bag and an entire shelf of books with books for every age group on them. I want to look around the room and play with everything, but I also want to go look at the books and pick a couple in case Daddy will tuck me in and read to me. I don't want to be greedy, but I've never had someone read me a bedtime story, and I'd very much like it if my daddy would lie in bed with me and read me a story. Let's play Lego? Hendrix asks, pulling out what must be enough Lego to build an entire city out of one bin in the room. Lego isn't my first choice, but it sounds like fun, so I plop down next to him and start building. I'm big enough to want to build something and Hendrix seems to just want to make a tower as tall as he can before he knocks it down. At some point Daddy and Soren come into the playroom, but they are sitting on the couch and talking. After the 5th time Hendrix smashes what I'm working on, I cry. I didn't mean to be a crybaby, but it was just too much for me to handle and I might cry. Hendrix tries to hug me and apologize, but I must be overtired because I push him away and won't let him get near me. I know I'm being silly, we were just playing, and he meant nothing by it, but after him springing Charlie on me earlier, I can't handle him and I just want to get away from him. I run over to where Daddy is sitting on the couch with Soren. What's wrong? Daddy asks, pulling me into his lap. Hendrix was mean to me, he wouldn't stop knocking down my Legos. I didn't want to play Smash. I told him to stop, but he didn't. He kept breaking what I was working on. I don't want to play with him anymore. That wasn't very nice of him. How about you and I do something else? Daddy asks, hugging me. Okay, I say, rubbing my eyes. Could we read a story? Do you want to read a story in here, or do you want to go into the room you are going to be sleeping in while you're here and I can read you a story and tuck you into bed? I bet you are ready for bed, aren't you? It's late in DC, isn't it? Daddy asks, pulling me so I'm not just sitting in his lap, but I'm leaning against him, so my head is on his shoulder and I'm curled up in his lap. Mr. Soren must have gone to talk to Hendrix because he's gone and Hendrix sounds like he's in trouble on the other side of the room. I hide my face so Daddy can't see me smile, but I can't help but smile that Hendrix is in trouble. He was mean to me today. He deserves to be in trouble. Will you cuddle with me while you read me a story? Of course, I'll cuddle with you while I read you a story. Why don't you go over and pick out a couple of books for us to read and you can get ready for bed and then we can read a story, Daddy says, as we get up and make our way over to the bookshelf. I pick out a couple of books and then Daddy takes me to the guest room, where all my stuff is already put in the drawers and closet. Someone put a pair of train pajamas on the bed. I don't know if I should be excited or mortified, but I go with excited and let Daddy help me put them on. I'm not exactly feeling little, but I'm not exactly big, so I lean into letting Daddy take care of me, and before I know it, I'm small again. Daddy even puts my toothpaste on my toothbrush before he leaves me to get ready for bed. I want to let Daddy put my jammies on me, but then he'll see all my scars and I'm just not up for dealing with that right now, so I take them with me to the bathroom and get dressed on my own. When I come out of the bathroom, Daddy has pulled the blankets down so they are ready for me to get under the covers, and not only that, but he has changed into a pair of sweatpants so I can cuddle him and not be uncomfortable. I run and jump on the bed, making the whole bed bounce when I land. Daddy shakes his head at me and before turning off the lights and pushing me so there's room on the bed for him before he climbs in next to me. As soon as Daddy is in the bed, I move so I'm laying with my head on his chest so I see the book Daddy is going to read to me. The first book Daddy reads is a book I've read before. It's called Llama Llama Red Pajama. It sounds like a Dr. Seuss book, all rhymes and it's silly, but Daddy makes funny voices and pretends to be all exasperated when the mama llama is frustrated with the baby llama, but when the book is over, I'm still awake so Daddy gets a different book. This time it's Charlotte's Web. I never read it as a kid, but I saw the movie, so I can't wait for Daddy to read it to me. I'm asleep before Daddy gets to the end of the first chapter. Charlie. I can't believe how cute Jax is when he's little. He was a lot of fun to play with when he was serving me. I can definitely see us doing things like that again, but I also had fun when he was just being a little and playing with Hendrix. I should have known better than to get caught up talking to Soren when the boys were playing. Jax had a hard day and I guess it was just too much for him to have Hendrix disrespect him when they were both little, but he calmed down and did not let it ruin the rest of his night. When he got ready for bed, I so badly wanted to help him into his jammies, but I can see where he wouldn't want me to see his burns for the first time when he was little, but he just looked so cute in them. When he jumped in the bed, I thought I'd lose it over how adorable he was, but what did me in was how cuddly he was. We talked a lot about how brief his experiences with being touched were in his life, and I can see it. He melts into every touch, but especially when he's in his little space. I mean, the way he attached himself to me like a little monkey when he got in the bed was just so cute. I can't believe how cuddly he was. He fell asleep a chapter ago and I can't bring myself to leave yet. Maybe he's not the only one who needs more touch in their life. If things work out, maybe we can give each other the touch we both need. When I start the third chapter after he fell asleep, I make myself get up. Before I go, I find his phone and put it on the charger by his bed so he can reach it. Then I crack the door to the bathroom and turn on the little night light so he can find the bathroom if he needs it in the middle of the night. When I get downstairs, the house is empty, so I head home. When I get home, I shoot Jax a message asking him if he wants to hang out today, before I make my way to bed thinking if I play my cards right, maybe I won't have to sleep alone for too much longer. Could I be so lucky to get to have this amazing man in my life? He has a job, but I know he teaches mostly online classes and it's not like I don't know people at both DU and CU. I hate to be a dick, but I can totally use my wealth and status to get him a job out here if that's what he wants. Jax. Far too early, I'm awakened by a beeping from my phone. I didn't put my phone on the charger last night before I went to bed and it makes my heart beat a little faster. Grabbing it, I see I have a bunch of messages from Hendrix and one from Charlie. I check what Hendrix has to say first because I know if I look at Charlie's first, I won't remember to deal with whatever I need to do with Hendrix. He's apologizing for last night and asking how things went yesterday with Charlie. What am I supposed to tell him? If I say we played, he will want to know at least some details, and while we've always talked about things like that in the past, I don't want to risk what I have with Charlie over telling Hendrix, so I jump over to the text from him and smile when I read it. Charlie to Jax, I had fun with you today. Do you want to hang out today? Message me when you get a chance. How did he know just want to say to make me feel special and cared about? I shoot him a reply. Jax to Charlie, I had fun with you yesterday as well. I'd love to hang out with you. Did you have something in mind? As I wait for Charlie to respond, I go down to the kitchen to see if Hendrix is around. I want to talk to him now that we're both big, but I'm nervous about how it will go. He's my best friend, but I will not lie. I'm hurt. If he'd have gotten me to meet Charlie in so many other ways, that wouldn't have been so upsetting, but I don't want this to end our friendship, so I'll have to talk to him till I can move on. Hey, can we talk about yesterday? I ask, walking into the kitchen trying not to think about last night and how good it felt to have Charlie take care of me when I was little. Absolutely. Do you want any of this omelet I made? Since when did you learn to make an omelet? I know your daddy has been teaching you, but seriously, is it safe to eat that? Are you trying to kill me? No, asshole, I'm not trying to kill you. I've learned a lot about cooking since I've been living with Soren. You won't die, I promise, and if I was trying to kill you, I could have done something way more interesting than feeding you something. Remember, I went to military college. Dick, I say, laughing as I make my way to the table and sit down to eat breakfast. I want to talk to him more about what happened yesterday, but things seem to be on the mend, and I don't want to upset him or start a fight. I just want to eat my breakfast and go meet up with Charlie. You seemed to get along with Charlie yesterday? How was your time with him? I guess we're going to talk about it. I want to be pissed at him, but I really want to talk to him about it and see what he thinks. Also, he'll have a million questions when I tell him I want to go see him today. There's no way he'll let me leave to see Charlie before I have a full inquisition with him about what we did yesterday, so I might as well lean into it and see what he thinks about the situation. We got along well. What did you do while you were hanging out with him? You went into your little space pretty fast last night, and you normally don't do that when you aren't already feeling floaty. I wouldn't have been little when you got here if I thought you'd played with him. But tell me how it went? Fuck, why does he have to know me so well? I should have known he'd be able to tell I'd played with him before we got here last night. I was really upset. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. I should have told you I knew who Aliosphere was, Hendrix interrupts, looking lost and like he's waiting for me to jump on him about what he did. The elephant is in the room. I'm pissed. Hell, I still am, but I never would have agreed to come if you told me. I'd have put it off and never actually met him, so while I'm not happy you did what you did, I can at least see why you did. Saying it out loud to Hendrix, I can feel that what I'm saying is true. If he'd told me he knew who Charlie was, I'd never come to visit, and I'd have pulled away from Aliosphere Online because I'd known who he was. I'm sorry, but I'm glad you don't hate me. So, tell me what you did yesterday. I want to hear all about what you did to get all floaty. Asshole. Fine, I'll tell you all about it. When I tell him about shaving Charlie, I can feel my cock getting hard and I want to rush through the story so I can go tell Charlie to come get me, but I need my best friend's opinion about what I should do even though I know what I want to do. Why do I need approval so badly? Hendrix loves and cares about me. He'll tell me to pursue Charlie. I know what he'll say, but I need to tell him what happened, so he gives me permission to go after what I want. Maybe I should go back to therapy. I shouldn't need approval like this. Although the idea of relaxing and letting Daddy tell me what to do sounds so nice, I still need to be strong enough to do things on my own. I think you should go after him. He ticks all your boxes, and he's a great guy, and you've been talking to him for what, a year already. He's a good guy who will treat you right. You're right, he'll treat me well. I just can't seem to accept that anyone like him would want someone who looks like me. Oh, For fuck's sake, you act like you're Quasimodo. You are super hot. I know you got made fun as a kid, and I know people haven't been able to see that in the past, but you are hot and Charlie can see that. Why do you think he was staring at you yesterday? He was staring for the same reason everyone stares. I'm hideous. No, you're not. They are a part of you, but they don't make you ugly. You'd be a 10 without them. They are just part of who you are. You're crazy. No, I'm not, Hendrix says, leaning back in his chair and pushing his plate away from him and pinning me with a stare. Fine, you are crazy. I still don't know what to do with Charlie. When I was shading him yesterday, he knew exactly how to get me out of my head and put me into my headspace, and all he did was let me serve him. Why do you say things like that? Of course, it was more than just you serving him, it was because it was him. You've been playing online for almost a year. Of course, he knew how to get you into your headspace. He's been doing it from across the country for months. When are you going to see him again? Fuck, I knew he wouldn't let me stay here, not when he'd tell him much fun I had playing with him yesterday. Well, he asked me if I wanted to hang out with him today. I wanted to make sure you didn't have any plans today before I said yes. Go see him, spend time with him. You love spending time with him, and if you get with him, maybe you will move out of here. Don't think I was completely altruistic with all of this. I miss you and want you to be out here with, and if I can get you and Soren's best friend together, why wouldn't I want to do that? You are a dick. I'll text him after breakfast and see if he still wants to see me. Dear God, Hendrix says, grabbing his phone and texting someone. I don't know why I assumed it was Soren and nothing I should worry about, but the next thing I know my phone is chiming and Charlie is texting me to tell me he'll be here to pick me up in 45 minutes and that I should dress warm because we'll be outside for at least part of the day. You are the world's biggest asshole. Excuse me, I have to go get ready for my date, but you know that, since you are the one who told Charlie to come get me, I say, getting up and leaving the mess for him to deal with. Normally I'd help him clean, but I have to get ready, and I'm miffed he's making choices for me again. Charlie. It was shocking when I got the text from Hendrix, but when I told Jax I was coming to pick him up, he didn't tell me no, so I took the win and started getting ready. I told him to wear his coat because I wanted to make sure he had it, but I don't know what we should do today. I want to do something fun that he's never done before. When I think back on our conversations, I remember he mentioned that he'd never gotten to go-kart racing before, so I call and make a reservation. I can only hope he has fun with the idea. He mentioned having wanted to go before, but after I got to be around his little side last night, I want to get to know that part of him more. Before I leave to pick Jax up, I grab an insulated water bottle that has the Winter Soldier on it and fill it with hot cocoa. It's silly, but I know he loves hot cocoa, and the bottle is a fun way to let him know I want to get to know his little side without it being something that a person walking by would clock as being inappropriate to have in public. I love covert play, and from the conversations we've had in the past, I know Jax is a fan as well. I remind myself the whole way to Soren's house not to speed, because I can't wait to pick him up. When the door opens, I can't help but smile at what Jax is wearing. He has on a pair of jeans and a Hawkeye shirt. To say he looks good in the purple is an understatement. I can't believe how much it brings out the gray in his eyes, but he looks amazing. I want to kiss him so badly, but we haven't talked about that, and I don't want to overstep, but it's clear he's ready to go. I thought we could do some go-kart racing. How does that sound? As soon as I say go-kart, I can see Hendrix's head pop up from where it's laying on the couch holding a book. He doesn't have the book upside down, but it's clear the book is a prop, and I have to force myself not to laugh at the way he's looking at me, like he not only wants to know if I'm going to treat his friend well, but also like he wants to come up with a way to get himself invited to go with us. That sounds amazing. I've never been before. I can't believe you remembered that. Of course, I remembered, I say, smiling at him and ignoring Hendrix. Do you have your coat? It's an outside track and I don't want you to get cold. It's right here. I'll let you know what my plans are for dinner, Jax says, grabbing his coat and stepping out the door, clarifying that he will not invite Hendrix. Seeing him be assertive with his friend is nice. I was worried he'd be a pushover in person, but at least with Hendrix, he's able to be strong. I didn't realize I was worried about talking him into things until now, but I can feel a knot in my chest loosen as I watch him slide into my porcha. I brought you some hot cocoa. It should be okay to drink temp-wise, but check please, I say, turning on the car and backing out of the driveway. This is exceptional. So, are we really going to go kart racing? Yes, I wouldn't tell you something like that if I wouldn't follow through. We have a reservation and everything. Part of me wants to be mad. He thinks I might bait and switch him like that, but he's had some dickhead partners in the past. He told me they were only with him for the sex or the kink and not because they wanted to be with him. God knows there are assholes out there, and I'm sure with his self-esteem the way it is, he's had more than his share of assholes, but no matter what happens between us, I want to make sure he knows he deserves better than he's been getting. Okay, Jack says, clearly unsure if he should trust that I won't tell him one thing and do another. I remind myself that his judgments are about past treatments and have nothing to do with me and head over to the racetrack. Jax. I can tell I hurt Charlie's feelings when I asked if we were really going to race go-karts. I didn't mean to, but I'd tell he was having fun picking at Hendrix, and as much as I love him, it's nice to know I'm not the only one who thinks Hendrix messed up. I'd have been happy if he was just telling me about the go-kart racing just to fuck with him, but now that I know I'm going to go kart racing, I can't help but think about how much fun this is going to be. When we pull into the parking lot, I can't help but gasp at how big the track is. There's even an overpass, so you can go up and down the hills on the track. I must stop myself from running ahead of Charlie and racing into the building. Hurry, I say, grabbing Charlie's hand and pulling him towards the building. If I'm not careful, I'm going to be little by the time we get on the track, but I can't help it. I'm so excited. I'm coming. Charlie takes care of getting us checked in and paying. I probably should have been paying attention to how much he spent, but I'm too excited and watching the last couple of laps of the people before us. I don't even notice when Charlie walks up and puts his arms around me, but it sends a thrill up my spine that he's being all touchy and sweet with me in public. I pull Charlie into a one-arm side hug, smiling at him as the guy waves us over to get into the go-karts. I pay attention well enough to hear the rules, but no crashing on purpose and obey the lights is about all I keep as we get buckled in and the light changes and we rush onto the track. I keep cutting Charlie off so he can't pass, and it becomes less about going fast and more about keeping him from getting out in front of me. When we make our 10th lap, they wave us into the pit and have us start again. This time Charlie is in front, but he doesn't seem as obsessed with not letting me win, and quickly I'm back in front of him on the track. By the time they announce last lap, I've been smiling so long my face hurts. We have full face helmets, so I don't know if Charlie is having fun, but the way he's still trying to win tells me he's enjoying himself. When we get parked and have our helmets on, my name lights up on the top of the scoreboard and I grab Charlie, hugging him. I want to kiss him, but I'm still too shy to kiss him in public like this, but the smile on his face is as big as my own and I can't help but want to spend more time with this man. I can't wait to see what else he has planned for today. I think I know the answer. You are smiling pretty big, but did you have a good time? I had so much fun. I didn't think I'd care so much about winning, but I didn't want you to beat me. I say, walking out hand in hand with Charlie. You are competitive, Charlie says, swinging our hands in an exaggerated movement, making it clear he wasn't mad or saying it as something negative, but simply that he was pointing something out. Well, I couldn't let you think I'd let you win just because you're the daddy. Oh, I'm the daddy? Charlie asks, stopping but not letting go of my hand, so he pulls me to a stop in the middle of the parking lot and is looking at me dumbfounded. I don't know what to say. He cut up my food and tucked me in and read to me. I think I've said something wrong until Charlie pulls me into his arms and kisses me. Unlike the other times we kissed, when Charlie started out gently, this time, he's doing his best to own my mouth, and I can't imagine doing anything to stop him from what he's doing to me. Normally I'm not one to kiss like this in public, but God, my cock is getting hard in my pants, and I want to go back to his house and do something about my cock. Should we go back to your house? I ask, pulling back from the kiss but still holding onto him, unwilling to be separated from him even long enough for him to ask him. If that's what you want to do, we could go do something else around town. I know you haven't been to Denver before, there's a lot to see here. What the fuck is going on with Charlie? He about ate my face a moment ago and now he's acting like he doesn't want to do anything sexy. I'm so confused. I know I didn't read the situation wrong. While we were kissing, I would feel him getting harder. I mean, come on now, I know turn on when I feel it poking me in the belly. I decide my best chance of getting him into bed is to go to his house. Yeah, maybe we can chill and relax. I'm a homebody and I have people a lot the past couple of days. If he offers to take me back to Hendrix's house, I don't know what I'm going to do. Slap him or cry. I think those are my options at this point. We can totally go back to my house. I have a movie theater in the basement. Do you want to watch something? It's not exactly what I was going for, but I can work with it. Why am I the one having to steer the sexy time ship? I'm the one who's supposed to be sitting back and letting him guide this situation. Jax. When Charlie suggested we go down to the theater, I thought it would be some heavy petting down in the dark, and while I was hoping for kinkier fun times, I'd work on trying to relive high school. The problem is it's been an entire episode, and aside from him playing with my hair, he's done nothing. Normally I'm not so pushy about sex, but I want to do more with Charlie than we have so far, but he seems to plan on keeping things PG. I'd say something, but I don't know what to say. I mean, we did so much online before we met. I feel like we should enjoy each other like horny teenagers, but we aren't, and I don't know what to do. I lean over so I have my head in Charlie's lap and he runs his fingers through my hair. God, it's been so long since I've had someone pet me. It's hard to keep my mind on getting him to play with me when all I want to do is sit here and let him play with my hair. Can I color? I ask, when the question I really want to ask is if he'll finger my ass while we watch a movie. I don't know why I can't just be straightforward, but I can't make myself ask. We can color. Do you want to color and watch a movie or just color? I can get you some PJs, or do you want to keep your big boy clothes? I'm sure I have some PJs that will fit you, Charlie says, continuing to play with my hair as he talks. Do you have superhero PJs that will fit me? I ask, feeling myself slide into my little headspace as he plays with my hair. I was close to being small before he started talking about PJs, but now the idea of daddy playing with my hair while we watch a movie is in my mind and all I want is to be small. I'm sure I do. Jumping up, I stand, waiting none too patiently for Charlie to show me the PJs he has for me to wear. I resist the urge to bounce as he stands and heads to the bedroom. I've been in the playroom when he was showing me around, but I haven't been in his bedroom, and the idea of seeing his private space makes my cock harden. The bedroom is nothing like I imagined. It looks like a kid's bedroom. I mean, the bed has blue sheets and a red comforter, all primary colors, making me think of Captain America, but the walls are covered in nerd art. Some comic book images, but mostly fan art showing mostly Steve and Bucky, but lots of other MCU characters in unique positions. I'd have never guessed he'd have a room like this. The rest of the house, even the closet I was in before, were all clearly decorated by a professional, but no decorator would have done something like this. There's even a shelf of Funkos, and the curtains have old school Avengers on them. I want to run around and look at all the art. I mean, my screen name is StuckyFan86, so I don't think he's afraid I'll judge him. Before I can stop myself, I'm walking around the room looking at all the art on the wall. I can see they aren't the shitty prints I've got at home. These are actual artwork. I want to be jealous, but I'm too excited to hold a grudge. Do you like them? Charlie asks, as I reach out to touch one of the charcoal sketches of a naked Bucky. They're amazing, I say, sounding like a kid. How could I not be in a room this amazing? It's like my childhood dream room, only made for a grown-up with lots of money. I always had to hide my love of superheroes growing up. My stepdad thought comics were too gay. He wasn't a fan of his stepson being gay, but he'd have been less upset about it if I wasn't constantly reading comics with men in spandex on the covers. I don't know how long I spent looking around at the art, but when I've looked at everything at least once, Charlie hands me a pair of PJs that are just black PJ pants and a black t-shirt with the Winter Soldier arm. Excited about the shirt, I can't help but shriek. I've never seen a shirt like it, and I love it so much. The first thing that goes through my mind is how can I end up with the shirt when I leave here today? It's wrong, but who hasn't ended up with a partner's clothing at some point? I mean, girls make all kinds of jokes about only dating guys with good sweatshirts they can steal. Thanks, I say, stripping out of my clothes and putting on the PJs. I don't mean to be so forward, but I'm not thinking about being naked in front of Charlie for the first time. All I can think of was getting to put on this super cool shirt. I'm never this forgetful, even half asleep last night I remembered, but today I just don't think about it until I've pulled off my shirt. I turn ever so slightly to see if Charlie looks disgusted. It's not exactly lust, but it's not disgust. I always wanted someone to look at my scars and still see me, and for the first time in my life, that's the way Charlie is looking at me. I don't see pity or worse, like the scars are turning him on. He's just looking at me. I finish pulling my shirt on and reach out for Charlie's hand. Can we go watch a movie now? Instead of heading down to the living room or back to the theater, Charlie heads to the playroom and I can't believe how many things he has for me to play with. I've seen the room before, even before we'd met. Charlie sent me pictures of his playroom. It was his not-so-subtle way of trying to get me to meet him in person, but seeing it now when I'm almost little has me dropping Daddy's hand and running to see what's in the bins. I wanted to color, but seeing all the toys and action figures, I pull them out and flop down to go through them. As I go through the toys, I want to play with everything. I find an Avengers coloring book and start coloring. Daddy sits down next to me with his own coloring book and works on a picture. I've never had a daddy or caregiver who would sit and play with me. They always sit and scroll on their phones or watch TV, but Daddy is playing with me, and it reminds me why I love talking to him online so much. We've done more play online, and so I know he likes to do things that most people wouldn't find proper for a daddy, but watching him work on his picture, I wonder how I got so lucky to meet a daddy who isn't worried about what other people would think about him if he and his little are having fun. When I finish my picture, Charlie starts a movie, and we move over to the couch and start watching. He's got dinosaurs all set up for us to watch. I mentioned it as having been a favorite when I was little, and he remembered. It's stupid to be so excited about him remembering something, just like the go-karts. It makes me feel cared about in a way I didn't know I was missing. Cuddling into his side as the episode starts, I can't help but wish I'd lean into his lap and take his cock in my mouth. I don't want to make things sexual. I just want to warm his cock, but we haven't talked about that before and I don't know if he'll push for a blowjob. I know he'd never force me to do anything, but if you aren't aware that someone wants to warm your cock, there's really no way to tell they aren't trying to give you head. I don't know how to bring up cock warming, so I cuddle into his side and take comfort in what we're doing, even if it's not what I want. Charlie. Spending time with Jax in his little space is a blast. He's a cute munchkin and getting to see him little is so much fun. Playing online when he's little is different because there's no one there with him when he's little, so he couldn't go as deeply into his little space as he wanted, but now he'd immersed himself in his little headspace. I can't wait to play with him more. Are you having fun? I ask, as he cuddles into my side while we watch a movie. Yes, I am. Good boy, I say, kissing the top of his head. Jax wiggles around so his head is in my lap and his face is mere inches from my cock. It's hard to keep it from getting hard, but I don't want to disturb him, so I do my best to keep myself soft. As the next episode starts, Jax unzips my pants, and I can't help but get hard with anticipation about what's coming next. He takes my cock in his mouth, but once he's there, he doesn't move. When I try to thrust, Jax pulls off. I thought he was afraid I'd choke him or something, but he's not moving at all, even when I stop moving. Just hold, Jax says, pulling off and then going back to holding my cock in his mouth. Cock warming has never been something I've done in the past, but it's interesting, so I'm willing to try. It's clearly something Jax enjoys. Can I take my pants off? Having my dick against my zipper isn't comfortable. I'll leave my boxers on? I ask, running my finger through his hair. Yes, Daddy, Jax says dreamily, pulling off my cock and wriggling so he's lying on the couch but off my lap so I can stand and get my pants off. Sitting back down, Jax takes my cock back in his mouth and I can feel my cock hardening, but he's not sulking or licking, simply laying with his mouth holding my cock, and no matter how much I want to fuck into his mouth, I stay still and focus on the show, trying to will away my hard on. Jax is drooling and I can feel him running down my cock. I can see the appeal for both him and me. I'd want to do this sitting on a towel and naked if we did it again, but there is something so relaxing about having my cock safe and warm in my boy's mouth as he holds it for me. Before too long, my cock has gone soft again, and I love the way he's holding it now that it's smaller and more comfortable to hold in his mouth. As we sit here, I keep my hand on his hair, not to force on and encourage, but to pet and connect with him. I love the closeness this is giving us. When the 8 episodes start, Jax sucks my cock with purpose. I thought my cock wouldn't be able to get hard again, but my cock gets rock hard as soon as he sucks. I can't believe how much I'm loving this. Fuck, Jax, it feels amazing. Jax is taking my cock down his throat and running his tongue around the head on his way up. I still have my hand on his head, but now I'm pushing him down on my cock. Jax runs his free hand over my balls, cupping them and using his drool from earlier to run his fingers over my balls and taint. When his finger slides over my hole, I can't hold back the moan as he circles my hole. He's circling the head of my cock with his tongue. I'm so close, I say, trying to get him off my cock in case he doesn't want to swallow, but he just keeps sucking and taking me into the back of his throat as he works my cock. We're both on prep and have talked a little about safe sex, but I wasn't expecting to have him sucking my cock like a goddamn champion this afternoon. I'm so close to coming, and as he slides his finger over my hole again, not trying to push into me, just playing with the outside of the anus, I slip over the edge and come down his throat. Jax swallows every drop, and I flop my head on the back of the couch, unable to control my limbs or even hold my head up as cum. Oh God, Jax, I thought you were going to suck my brain out of my dick. Give me a minute and I'll take care of you, I say, trying to lift my head and look at him but failing. I'm good. I came while I was playing with your PP, Jax says, moving off my lap as he stands and makes his way to the bathroom, coming back with a warm cloth to clean us up. I can do that in a minute. If you give me a second, I'll take care of cleanup. I just need to rest a second. I can take care of Daddy, Jax says, smiling as he kneels between my legs and starts cleaning my cock and balls. My oversensitive cocks try to jerk, but he stills his hands and my cock stops feeling oversensitive. God, I can't wait to play with this adorable boy more. Jax. 3 months later. When I came out to visit Hendrix, I never could have imagined all the ways my life would change. I enjoy teaching, but I only teach online classes, so moving out here didn't really change anything about my life, and starting in the summer I'll be teaching at DU, anyway. I never thought I'd be the person to let my rich boyfriend get me a job, but when mentioned that he'd given a shit ton of money to the college and that he'd at the very least get me an interview, I let him. As much as I am enjoying being with Charlie, it's also being close to Hendrix and all the people I've met through them both. Hendrix has a bunch of little friends and I've been accepted by them as well. I've always felt like an extension of Hendrix, but between Charlie and Jane, my amazing therapist, I'm seeing that I have friends and relationships outside of Hendrix. I'm still living with Hendrix and Soren, but I spend most of my time with Charlie. At some point, either Charlie or Hendrix are going to call me out and make me admit I'm living with Charlie, but for now, I stay with Charlie 5 or 6 days a week and stay with Hendrix for 1 or 2 days. It would be better if I admitted I was living with him, but I'm not ready to admit that I am. When Charlie started talking about taking a trip with me, it was such a crazy idea I said no, but then when I knew I was going to be changing jobs, it just made sense to go on this trip with him over the spring while I was in between jobs. So next week we're leaving for this 2-month trip. It'll be the longest we've been living together since we met. I'm scared about the trip, but not because I'll be with Charlie so much. There is some of that there, but it's just we're going to Africa on a photo safari and doing all these things I'd never be able to afford, and it makes me feel weird to let him pay for things. It's amazing to do all those things, but I feel like a kept man. It's just awkward, but I have to get over it because the trip is booked, and I can't afford to pay half, so that ship has sailed. We've both been super busy this week trying to get ready for our trip. Who knew I'd need so many clothes for the trip? Charlie's friend Landon is supposed to be taking me shopping tomorrow. I've met Landon a few times and I like him, but where I like to go unnoticed, Landon wants to make a big splash, and the idea of shopping with him has me nervous for a whole other set of reasons from the money. I need an entire set of clothes for the photo safari and camping gear, and that's not even talking about the suits Landon insists I need for the trip. He is not sure how he got involved. I think Charlie decided it would be easier to just let Landon do his thing than to argue with him. Traitor. Seriously, I'd never be ready for the trip without Landon helping me. That doesn't mean I wanted to spend days going to every store in Denver. Hell, we had to fly to LA for a trip to some fancy Africa safari store, because according to Landon, nothing in town was quite right. I'd have worn 511s and been done with it. Apparently, you can't dine with the captain on a cruise ship in jeans and a t-shirt. I don't know why Landon or Charlie thought I wanted to dine with the captain at all, but if I'm being honest, it's kind of fun to shop when you don't have to think about money at all. I'm all for looking the part, but if they don't like my clothes, they will never like my hair. I mean, it's blue and I'm planning on doing it so it's purple and pink before we go. Landon wouldn't let me get my suit to match my hair, no matter how much I asked. What if my suit clashes with my hair? He'll be sorry then. I didn't think I needed the clothes, but it made Charlie happy to send me shopping and buy me all this stuff. I didn't know Charlie had a gift-giving kink, but he totally does. He loves it when I go buy stuff, no matter what it is, as long as I wear it for him when I get home. I can't wait to show him the suits. Walking into La Salle, I knew we were in the wrong place. The staff wouldn't even look at me, and Landon, who clearly shops at places like this, was with me. I can't imagine how they would have treated me if he wasn't with me, but still. I don't think we have anything for him. Try Macy's, they will have something that will work for him, the clerk says, as I walk in the door. I'm sorry, do you work on commission? Landon asks, walking up behind me and gliding past so he's in the clerk's face. Yes, I do, but we don't have time for time wasters like you both, the clerk says, sneering at Landon's jeans and t-shirt and my blue hair. Oh, we aren't time wasters. Start showing my friend here your spring collection. I have to make a phone call. Landon says, walking out the door, calling someone before the door is even closed behind him. Let me get you measured, the clerk says, in a tone that makes me want to hide. I'm not normally a shirking violet, but the way this man is looking at me like I'm trash is pushing all the wrong buttons. When the clerk is about halfway through measuring me, someone comes in from the back. The look on the clerk's face says he knows who this man is, and he's not excited about him being in the store while he has someone like me tainting the space. Landon walks up to me, brushing some lint off my shoulder, and says, "That's Eli. He spends a lot of time at the Phoenix. He also owns this store, not to mention my friends, and I spend a great deal of money in this shop annually. Let's say he's not happy the sales attendant showed his ass and treated one of his best customers like shit. Wait for it. Eli is a sadist who loves to make people cry. I may have bet him he couldn't make the little dick cry in the middle of the store when he fired him. If Eli makes the clerk cry, I have to let him use my ski house in Breckenridge for a week." Landon says, walking around the shop and touching all the suits and making idle comments about color and feel. It's only been a few minutes when Eli comes out being followed by a crying sales clerk. Eli walks to the door, opens and locks it behind the crying sales clerk. Normally, I'm not a fan of public humiliation, but after the way the clerk treated me, it's nice to have someone make sure I'm taken care of. When I'm completely measured, Landon tells Eli what I want and need. I'm lost after about 30 seconds. I don't know what half the things he's saying mean, but Landon is beautiful, and I have every confidence he'll make sure I look good no matter what I say, so I just weigh in on color and material. I'm going to dye my hair before we leave so it will be pink and purple, so the colors will need to go with those colors. Oh, can you find me the brand of dye you will use? I want to make sure the colors we're picking will go well with the way your hair is going to look. When I have the color pulled up, I show him, and Eli changes some things about what I had picked, making sure I'll look good with the new hair. I resist the urge to stick my tongue out at Landon, but it's hard. Even with the asshole, I had fun at La Salle. After La Salle, I'm ready to go home and sleep for a week, but Landon has other ideas. We head off to another store, but this time, no one says anything about me being there. I don't know if they were nicer or if Landon called ahead, but it made things less stressful. Arriving back at Charlie's house, I want nothing more than to sleep for a week or maybe have Daddy take care of me, but tonight we're going to do a service scene and I can't wait. Jax. After schlepping in what must be 50 bags of stuff for the trip, I grab myself a drink and start getting ready to serve Daddy. We've talked about things we both like enough that I'm sure it will be fun, but we haven't talked about a set scene for tonight. As I'm making my drink, my phone dings and I can't help but look to see who's texting me. Daddy to Jax, I want you to lay out everything you bought with Landon today on the bed in the guest room so I can inspect what you bought and decide if you need anything else before our trip. I want you to go to the basement, and in the closet by Jim are some suitcases. Bring them all up. I think I have enough for both of us, but I want to make sure tonight so I can buy whatever you need before we need to pack. Then I want you to go into the kitchen and make something for dessert. I'll be bringing home dinner, but I want you to make us a sweet treat for tonight. Reading the text has my cock rock hard in my pants. How can Daddy know the exact right way to get me in the proper headspace to calm down? Landon must have told him today wasn't much fun, but I can't be mad because I'm excited about Daddy knowing what I need and giving it to me. The closet with the suitcases is a hot mess. Daddy has a lot of junk. If we weren't about to leave on our trip, I'd pull everything out and start organizing. The first suitcase I carry upstairs weighs a ton, so I take the time to look inside, and thank God I did because it's full of stuff. Just random stuff. The man is storing his stuff in his suitcases. Who does that? Jax to Daddy, Daddy, I am trying to be a good boy, but you have stuff in your luggage. Would you like your boy to take care of finding places for everything? Really, I tried to keep from being bratty, but seriously, the man has a crazy big house and he's storing things in the suitcases, and it's not like travel pillows or stuff you only need when you travel. No, it's loose junk stuffed in there. It's like a child hiding things under the bed. My goodness, does he need a boy to take care of him? I feel almost giddy thinking about all the fun I'll have taking care of Daddy. Daddy to Jax, I'm so sorry, my sweet boy. I forgot I put stuff in those. Why don't you look through them? Just put things in piles, and I'll tell you what to do with the piles when I get home. Worst case, you can put the piles on the dresser in the guest room. The idea of putting piles of stuff into the dresser in the guest bedroom makes me want to yell at Daddy, but I can't do that, so I take a breath and start organizing the things into piles. Normally I can get distracted when I am doing things for myself, but when I am working on things for Daddy, I don't seem to get sidetracked until I come across a box of pictures. When I open the box of pictures, I know I shouldn't go through them, but when I see a picture of Daddy and Soren and Landon, I can't help but look. There are a lot from college, or at least when they were younger, and I smile when I see how happy they look standing outside the club they own, the Phoenix. The place looks like shit and everyone in the picture is in work shirts. They're all dirty and sweaty, but they look so happy. There are a bunch of pictures from what looks like the same workday in the envelope, but then I come to pictures of Daddy with a man tied up on a cross. Daddy looks so hot standing over the man in the pictures. My cock hardens as I look through them. The man on the cross is hot, and I take a minute to realize I'm looking at the pictures and wondering why he's with me. Jane would be so proud. Munchkin, I have dinner. I hear Daddy say, walking into the room and sitting next to me where I'm holding the pictures of him and his ex. Oh, well, I guess I didn't throw those out. I didn't mean to shove all of that in your face. I forgot they were in there. Hell, I forgot everything was in there. Daddy babbles, gathering the pictures and setting them in the trash bag. No, I say, reaching in to grab them. I didn't want to keep pictures of my ex. I'm not throwing them away because you saw them, and I won't be upset about it later. Honestly, I forgot I had them at all. It's not that. There's a bunch of pictures of y'all working on Phoenix and you look good all sweaty. I might want to look back over those, I say, doing my best to look lecherous, but failing if his smile was anything to go by. Oh, so you wish you had the younger me, or maybe it's the pictures of Landon and Malcolm all hot and sweaty you think look so good. Should I try to set you up with Landon, or maybe Malcolm and his boy want a third? Daddy says, leaning into me so our lips meet, and then he's pushing me back onto the floor and straddling me while he kisses me. The kiss starts with a soft brush of lips on lips before Daddy is licking my lip and trying to get me to let him into my mouth. Before I know it, Daddy is pinning down while grinds his cock into me. I wouldn't have guessed I'd love making out the way I do. Daddy is kissing my neck and nibbling on my ear as we grind into one another. Daddy runs his tongue up the pulse point of my neck to that sensitive place under my ear and I moan as he does it again, then he's grinding our cocks together. Charlie. God, I feel like a teenager about to come from making out and grinding on someone, but who am I kidding? I never made out like a teenager when I was a teenager. Jax rolls us over so he's on top. I love when my boy rides me. Jax leans down and whispers things in my ear. His gravelly voice is too much for me and I have to squeeze my cock to keep from coming. I guess it's all the times I jacked off to his TikToks. I'm like Pavlov's fucking dogs. I'm going to slide your pants off and run my tongue down my spine, taking my time to nibble and suck before I get to your perfect ass. When I get to your ass, I am going to pull your cheeks apart, and I'm going to make sure your asshole is so well worshipped you will beg to come. Do you think I can make you come just from a rim job, Daddy? Jax's voice is gravelly as he tells me he wants to make me come just from eating. My ass has me moaning and whimpering like a cat in heat. I'd be ashamed if I wasn't about to come just from him telling me what he wants to do to me. God. Oh, God, if you keep talking like that I'm going to come before you even touch my ass and I want to come riding your tongue, so you better not take your time working your way to my asshole, I say, while Jax slithers down my body before he flips me over so I'm face down on the carpet. Jax reaches under us both and starts messing with the button on my pants, and somewhere in the back of my mind I hope my poor pants survive the night, but I can't bring myself to care that much as he works the button open before he pulls my pants down. As soon as my pants are off, Jax has his face buried in my ass, and the moment his tongue contacts my hole, he's pushing his tongue inside, fucking into me with his tongue. After what could be a few seconds or a few hours, Jax slides his body up my back, so his cock is at my ass, and I wonder if he's going to fuck my ass. I enjoy bottoming, but I wasn't aware that was what was going on, but hell with the way I was trying to keep from coming, I'd have given up the nuclear launch codes if I had them. I mean, my God, can my boy give a rim job? Jax grinds his cock into my ass and whispers something in my ear again, but this time I understand what he's asking. Daddy, can I come when you do? The way he asks is breathy, like he's holding on harder than I am. Doing my best to roll over, I want to see my boy as he comes, but he's working his way down my back and pressing his tongue into my hole the moment he's between my cheeks. Oh God, Jackson, I'm going to come. You can come when I do. I say, relaxing into what he's doing with his tongue as he uses his fingers to press into my prostate through my taint as he works his tongue in and out of my ass. You're going to give me a rim job every night before bed. This is the most mind-blowing rim job I've ever had. Oh God, I'm going to come. I get out before I come, shouting his name as I do. Fuck, I don't think I've come that hard in my life. I also don't think I've ever had a sub spend that much time working on my hole with their tongue. Jax. After schlepping in what must be 50 bags of stuff for the trip, I grab myself a drink and start getting ready to serve Daddy. We've talked about things we both like enough that I'm sure it will be fun, but we haven't talked about a set scene for tonight. As I'm making my drink, my phone dings and I can't help but look to see who's texting me. Daddy to Jax, I want you to lay out everything you bought with Landon today on the bed in the guest room so I can inspect what you bought and decide if you need anything else before our trip. I want you to go to the basement, and in the closet by Jim are some suitcases. Bring them all up. I think I have enough for both of us, but I want to make sure tonight so I can buy whatever you need before we need to pack. Then I want you to go into the kitchen and make something for dessert. I'll be bringing home dinner, but I want you to make us a sweet treat for tonight. Reading the text has my cock rock hard in my pants. How can Daddy know the exact right way to get me in the proper headspace to calm down? Landon must have told him today wasn't much fun, but I can't be mad because I'm excited about Daddy knowing what I need and giving it to me. The closet with the suitcases is a hot mess. Daddy has a lot of junk. If we weren't about to leave on our trip, I'd pull everything out and start organizing. The first suitcase I carry upstairs weighs a ton, so I take the time to look inside, and thank God I did because it's full of stuff. Just random stuff. The man is storing his stuff in his suitcases. Who does that? Jax to Daddy, Daddy, I am trying to be a good boy, but you have stuff in your luggage. Would you like your boy to take care of finding places for everything? Really, I tried to keep from being bratty, but seriously, the man has a crazy big house and he's storing things in the suitcases, and it's not like travel pillows or stuff you only need when you travel. No, it's loose junk stuffed in there. It's like a child hiding things under the bed. My goodness, does he need a boy to take care of him? I feel almost giddy thinking about all the fun I'll have taking care of Daddy. Daddy to Jax, I'm so sorry, my sweet boy. I forgot I put stuff in those. Why don't you look through them? Just put things in piles, and I'll tell you what to do with the piles when I get home. Worst case, you can put the piles on the dresser in the guest room. The idea of putting piles of stuff into the dresser in the guest bedroom makes me want to yell at Daddy, but I can't do that, so I take a breath and start organizing the things into piles. Normally I can get distracted when I am doing things for myself, but when I am working on things for Daddy, I don't seem to get sidetracked until I come across a box of pictures. When I open the box of pictures, I know I shouldn't go through them, but when I see a picture of Daddy and Soren and Landon, I can't help but look. There are a lot from college, or at least when they were younger, and I smile when I see how happy they look standing outside the club they own, the Phoenix. The place looks like shit and everyone in the picture is in work shirts. They're all dirty and sweaty, but they look so happy. There are a bunch of pictures from what looks like the same workday in the envelope, but then I come to pictures of Daddy with a man tied up on a cross. Daddy looks so hot standing over the man in the pictures. My cock hardens as I look through them. The man on the cross is hot, and I take a minute to realize I'm looking at the pictures and wondering why he's with me. Jane would be so proud. Munchkin, I have dinner. I hear Daddy say, walking into the room and sitting next to me where I'm holding the pictures of him and his ex. Oh, well, I guess I didn't throw those out. I didn't mean to shove all of that in your face. I forgot they were in there. Hell, I forgot everything was in there. Daddy babbles, gathering the pictures and setting them in the trash bag. No, I say, reaching in to grab them. I didn't want to keep pictures of my ex. I'm not throwing them away because you saw them, and I won't be upset about it later. Honestly, I forgot I had them at all. It's not that. There's a bunch of pictures of y'all working on Phoenix and you look good all sweaty. I might want to look back over those, I say, doing my best to look lecherous, but failing if his smile was anything to go by. Oh, so you wish you had the younger me, or maybe it's the pictures of Landon and Malcolm all hot and sweaty you think look so good. Should I try to set you up with Landon, or maybe Malcolm and his boy want a third? Daddy says, leaning into me so our lips meet, and then he's pushing me back onto the floor and straddling me while he kisses me. The kiss starts with a soft brush of lips on lips before Daddy is licking my lip and trying to get me to let him into my mouth. Before I know it, Daddy is pinning down while grinds his cock into me. I wouldn't have guessed I'd love making out the way I do. Daddy is kissing my neck and nibbling on my ear as we grind into one another. Daddy runs his tongue up the pulse point of my neck to that sensitive place under my ear and I moan as he does it again, then he's grinding our cocks together. Charlie. God, I feel like a teenager about to come from making out and grinding on someone, but who am I kidding? I never made out like a teenager when I was a teenager. Jax rolls us over so he's on top. I love when my boy rides me. Jax leans down and whispers things in my ear. His gravelly voice is too much for me and I have to squeeze my cock to keep from coming. I guess it's all the times I jacked off to his TikToks. I'm like Pavlov's fucking dogs. I'm going to slide your pants off and run my tongue down my spine, taking my time to nibble and suck before I get to your perfect ass. When I get to your ass, I am going to pull your cheeks apart, and I'm going to make sure your asshole is so well worshipped you will beg to come. Do you think I can make you come just from a rim job, Daddy? Jax's voice is gravelly as he tells me he wants to make me come just from eating. My ass has me moaning and whimpering like a cat in heat. I'd be ashamed if I wasn't about to come just from him telling me what he wants to do to me. God. Oh, God, if you keep talking like that I'm going to come before you even touch my ass and I want to come riding your tongue, so you better not take your time working your way to my asshole, I say, while Jax slithers down my body before he flips me over so I'm face down on the carpet. Jax reaches under us both and starts messing with the button on my pants, and somewhere in the back of my mind I hope my poor pants survive the night, but I can't bring myself to care that much as he works the button open before he pulls my pants down. As soon as my pants are off, Jax has his face buried in my ass, and the moment his tongue contacts my hole, he's pushing his tongue inside, fucking into me with his tongue. After what could be a few seconds or a few hours, Jax slides his body up my back, so his cock is at my ass, and I wonder if he's going to fuck my ass. I enjoy bottoming, but I wasn't aware that was what was going on, but hell with the way I was trying to keep from coming, I'd have given up the nuclear launch codes if I'd had them. I mean, my God, can my boy give a rim job? Jax grinds his cock into my ass and whispers something in my ear again, but this time I understand what he's asking. Daddy, can I come when you do? The way he asks is breathy, like he's holding on harder than I am. Doing my best to roll over, I want to see my boy as he comes, but he's working his way down my back and pressing his tongue into my hole the moment he's between my cheeks. Oh God, Jackson, I'm going to come. You can come when I do, I say, relaxing into what he's doing with his tongue as he uses his fingers to press into my prostate through my taint as he works his tongue in and out of my ass. You're going to give me a rim job every night before bed. This is the most mind-blowing rim job I've ever had. Oh God, I'm going to come. I get out before I come, shouting his name as I do. Fuck, I don't think I've come that hard in my life. I also don't think I've ever had a sub spend that much time working on my hole with their tongue. Jax. It's a game and one that I'm enjoying, but as the rain sounds filling the car, I can't help but want to cry. The idea of trying to pee a little and hoping Daddy forces me to use the diaper crosses my mind, but trying to stop peeing after I start sounds harder than holding it. But God, I have to go so badly. I'm rocking back and forth, but whenever I try to stop moving, it's like a spike to my bladder. How much longer, Daddy? 12 minutes, you are doing so well, Daddy says, smiling at me, but the smile looks mean somehow. I can see Daddy's cock tinting his pants and I wonder if Daddy would let me pee sooner if I blew him, but Roadhead isn't safe and I can't stay still when I'm not putting any pressure on my bladder. What would happen if I pleated forward and tried to blow Daddy? I'd ask Daddy to pull over, but I know I couldn't get myself into a position to blow him and he might not let me go any sooner. How much longer, Daddy? 8 minutes. Daddy says, and I look at the navigation app on my phone. There is nothing even remotely close to where we are. I can't help but ask. I'm not sure what's worse, knowing all I have to do is hold it for 8 minutes or knowing relief is just a relaxed muscle away. Okay, my sweet boy, the timer is done. You can let go, Daddy says, running his hand through my hair. No, Daddy, I can't pee in my diaper, please. I was a good boy and held it like you said. Please, just pull over, Daddy, and let me get out. I'll pee on the side of the road. Please, Daddy, don't make me pee in my diaper like a baby. I'm a big boy, I know I'm yelling, but I can't help it. I was a good boy, I held it and even drank that stupid drink and listened to rain sounds, and Daddy is going to make me pee in a diaper like a baby. Tears are running down my face and I can't even care. You can hold it or you can use your diaper, Daddy says, laughing as I cry before he reaches over and touches my belly right over my bladder and I pee. I've come and not had it be this satisfying. Oh God, Daddy, it feels so good. I reach out and grab his hand. Daddy has pulled over and he's using my hand to jack his cock while putting his hand over my cock in the diaper. Daddy is working my hand up and down his cock. And I can feel him coming before I finish peeing. I can't even focus on what Daddy is doing because it feels so good, but as I am enjoying my diaper being all warm and wet, Daddy runs his hands over my cock in the diaper and I can feel my cock hardening as he runs his hands over the diaper. Before I know it, I'm coming so hard in Daddy and kissing me as I come into my diaper. I never thought I'd enjoy something like that, but it's hot. I hate the idea of diapers, let alone being forced to use them, but it was fun. Maybe it was having been so desperate for so long, maybe it was how hot it made my daddy to make me hold it for so long, but God, that was seriously in the top 5 orgasms of my life. I'm glad you enjoyed it, sweet boy. I knew I'd like it, but top 5 orgasms. Wow, Daddy says, reaching over to grab a wet wipe from the glove box. I seriously said it was one of my top 5 orgasms. I didn't mean to say that out loud. What else did I say? That you hate diapers, let alone be forced to use them, but you love this. And you don't know why you loved it so much. Something about maybe it was because I loved it, Daddy says, cleaning his cum from his hand and the steering wheel and his pants. I bet it's on the ceiling, but Daddy loves his overpriced truck, so I hope I can get it clean before he notices what a mess he made. I was innocent in the mess-making department and I can't help but smile as Daddy notices the mess he made on the ceiling. I can't wait to get out of the hotel and see what Daddy has in mind for my reward. I mean, I better have earned my reward after all of that. Although the orgasm was its own reward. I don't think bathroom control will be an all-the-time thing, but it's going on my list of things I enjoy. Jax. I can't believe how much fun I had with Daddy on our trip. We saw 6 continents on our trip, and while I'd have loved to stay longer in some places, being away from home for so long was hard, but Daddy was there for me the whole time no matter how grumpy I got about missing my bed. We came home a few days earlier than we planned because we're going to Landon's opening weekend for his guest ranch. Apparently, seeing Daddy and me take our trip made him want to do something for himself. I'm not sure how buying a guest ranch in Wyoming is doing something for himself, but he's excited, so while Daddy is at the office, I'm doing my best to unpack and do some laundry so we can head to Wyoming this afternoon. The guest ranch is a typical guest ranch, but Landon is going to be hosting several kinky getaways a year, and since the opening this weekend is mostly people from Crash and a few regulars from the Phoenix, this weekend will be a kinky event. Daddy and I have done our share of playing, both in the privacy of our rooms and in some of the best clubs around the world. It'll be fun to get to experiment with people we know again. I didn't have time to go to the Phoenix before we left, but according to Daddy it's totally different to play when you know everyone. When I was living in DC and had little friends, we had some play parties where I knew everyone, and that differed from when I played at the club, so I can see who Daddy is so excited to see, but I also think Daddy just wants to spend time with his friends again. It's been amazing having so much alone time with Daddy, but I know he misses his life here. When Daddy gets home, our bags are packed and I'm wearing a onesie he had made for me. The onesie has little crystals in the pattern of wings on the back on it, and it says Daddy's little angle on the front in bright blue glitter, and a pair of cowboy boots and nothing else. The look on Daddy's face is priceless. He's smiling from ear to ear, and when I get close enough for him to grab, he wraps his arms around me and pulls me into a crushing hug. Do you look perfect, little one? You better go get some pants on or we're never going to make it Wyoming before I have my way with your tight little ass. Walking into the bedroom, putting a little extra swing in my hips just to make sure he's good and excited before I put on a pair of jeans and a button-up shirt. I don't know who will be there, and I don't want to ruin Landon's big night by outing him as kinky if there are normies there. Charlie. Dear God, what did I get myself into with this boy? You'd imagine I'd be used to him by now, but after almost 3 months away together, he still shocks me. I thought he'd always be shy about his scars, and while he still hides now and then most of the time, he's excited to show his body. He is comfortable with who he is, and that makes me happy. On our trip, I had a lot of fun. I've traveled since I got rich, but I've never taken months to travel around and play tourist, and I loved it. There is so much more to the world. When Landon told me he was taking a step back from Crash to pursue his dream of opening a kinky guest ranch, I thought he was crazy. Now, after being away for a while, the idea of going back into the office 5 days a week is killing me. I want to enjoy my life and my time with Jax. Jax is over the moon about getting back to teaching, and I'm thrilled for him, but I'm wondering if there's something more out there for me other than running testing at a tech company. Perhaps I'd be a house husband. Nah, I'd hate that, but there could be something else out there for me. What happened to your onesie? You need pants not to look like a cowboy, although this has some fun possibilities as well. Keep your mind out of the gutter. We both need to look presentable in case there's non-kinky people there when we get there. And if you're wondering, I still have my onesie on. Now come on, I want to ride a horse today, so we have to hurry, Jax says, groping my ass as he walks by me and grabs our bags. Rocking Horse Ranch is amazing. I can't believe how much work Landon has done both on the property and in the main house. Everything is stunning, but the most amazing thing is that Landon has met someone, and they are so cute together. I can't wait to hear more about Landon's new boyfriend. The playroom in the basement is far more than I was thinking they would have been at a guest ranch. It's a full dungeon and a separate little playroom. Jax lost his pants and overshirt as soon as we got downstairs, but watching him playing with the other littles reminds me how much I love him. The next day, we go on the horseback ride. Jax has been so excited about, and I surprise my boy. Russell leads us on the ride, and at the halfway point, there is a lovely meadow where we stop for lunch. I had Landon throw in some champagne with the food, and when we get all set up on the blanket with our food and champagne, I pull the ring box out of my pocket. Will you marry me? I ask, holding Jax's hand and sliding the ring on his finger. Yes, of course I'll marry you. The end.